She asked for the divorce, believing she was doing what was best for herself. Now, alone and crying, she admits she never knew what it was like to live without someone by her side. While her ex moved on, she faces the weight of her own choices.
I am honestly really sad right now, if you can tell. That's like the weirdest thing about grief is like, didn't cry for 2 days, was good for 2 days, and now I'm by myself, and it's just like the hurricane, like it's here again, you know? It's, the tsunami is back. Like, it's just so hard, and like I'm frustrated because I, my whole world got disheveled, and I feel like he has moved on, and he is healed and moved on and doesn't care about me, which I don't want him to come back into my life, but it still just sucks, I can't imagine, thank you guys for sharing stuff, like stories that you've gotten through this, and it's been however many years, because I could not imagine that. I can't imagine being with someone for a really long time and going through this, Sorry if you can hear my cat literally playing in the background. Like, I was only with him for 4.5 years, 1 year married. I could not imagine, though, being with him for longer and this happening, but it's just so sad sometimes, and it's like so hard to have to learn how to do life by yourself again. Like, you don't have that person to call all the time, or that best friend to go do things with. And that's what scares me. I've never truly been alone and worked on myself, and I'm terrified of it.
She starts by saying she is sad and feels the pain of grief, not from death, but from separation. She calls it an emotional tsunami, which is understandable, but the crucial point here is she chose this path. She says she doesn't want him back, but also complains that he has already healed. This reveals the common emotional contradiction in many modern breakups. The woman ends the relationship seeking freedom, but gets frustrated when the man finds peace before her.
Not me crying on the internet more, but I just want to share all of it, the good and the bad, so that I have this to look on a year from now and know that I did heal, but also to help anybody else who's going through heartbreak. Like, heartbreak sucks. It sucks so bad. You like physically feel the pain, emotionally, mentally, everything. And again, I had 2 really, really good days, did not cry at all those 2 days. And then, as soon as I'm by myself, or as soon as, I do something or something triggers me, it just all comes flooding back. And like, it's just a lot. Grief sucks. This whole thing sucks so bad. And I'm literally praying and thinking about anybody else going through a divorce.
She says she has never truly been alone and is afraid to face life without someone to call or a best friend. This shows something many traditional men have noticed. The independence many modern women demand is more rhetoric than reality. When it arrives, there is emptiness. The modern woman was taught not to need anyone, but no one explained how to deal with the silence of an empty room. Being strong is different from being lonely, and strength without direction only increases pain.
I just wanted to talk about the fact that it's okay to sit down and miss the person sometimes, miss the connection you had. I think a lot of the times I try, and I think I'm really strong about what happened to me most of the time, and I think that I haven't cried about my ex in a long time, actually. But today, I just kind of sat down, and this is a holiday I probably would have spent with his family too, and it's okay to just like miss what you had sometimes. Like, I know that we try and tell ourselves like, well, they weren't right for us, or maybe they were a bad person, or maybe they did this, or they did this to you. And like, while I think that's true, and like, I think that you can tell yourself that, I mean, that's like, I try and put on this sorry, this is very rambly, but I really did just pick up the camera and start talking. I think what I'm trying to say is that we tell ourselves, or at least I do, if I'm thinking about my ex, I typically am just like, nope, not gonna think about him. Like, we're detaching, you know what I mean? And that works the majority of the time. But sometimes you can just sit down and cry. You can sit down and let out your feelings. And I think people who don't ever cry about the things, or people who don't ever let themselves think about it, like, we have to think about it. We have to feel the things, and that doesn't make you weak. Like,
she tries to justify the breakup by saying the ex wasn't right for her, but admits she misses the connection. There is a clear conflict between her self-affirmation speech and the reality of emotional emptiness. This is the price of emotional relativism. Everything becomes justifiable until the heart screams. Missing something you yourself destroyed is the burden of freedom misused.
Being vulnerable does not make you weak. I really hate when people say that, because life is all about the human emotions and what we go through. You know what I mean? Like, that is literally life. And I just think that it's okay to just sit down and miss what you had. It's okay to, and that's not even me saying, oh, I miss my ex, I miss blah blah blah. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that sometimes I miss having a connection like that, where I felt like, oh, I had a person, right? And like, I had my person. I miss that for sure, but I think sometimes it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to sit. And I think a lot of the times we try and distract, or we try and fill with voids, or we try and move on to the next person. And some days it's okay to just sit, and it's okay to have a cry and get back out there in life.
She says she misses the idea of having a partner, not necessarily the ex. She talks about crying and dealing with feelings. All of this is legitimate, but it comes late. The woman only recognizes the value of a stable man after losing him. This happens worryingly often. Many men are noticing this. They are only valued afterward. That is why many avoid serious relationships. Mature masculinity does not want to be the emotional maturity backup plan for women.
Something really quickly. So, whenever I figured out that my ex-husband was dating the girl that I was worried about at the end of our marriage, I was so sad at first. And then I realized how much stronger I am now than even I was 6 months ago, because that would have made me feel devastated for like weeks, I feel like. And I was really only sad for like a day or two. Like, yeah, it still hurts. It's disappointing and it hurts, but it's almost like the anticipation of what I thought was going to be my worst nightmare. Now that it like came true, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, that says way more about him than it does me and our relationship. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share that and share where my headspace is at and everything.
She finds out her ex is with the woman she feared and says she was sad, but that this says more about him. It is a classic way to try to come out emotionally on top, even while visibly affected. Silent regret comes when reality shows he moved on without her. Saying, this says more about him is a form of self-protection. But the truth is, she lost, and she is beginning to realize it. This video shows what many men already know. The consequences of divorce, often initiated by women, come later and hurt more than expected. The problem was not just the end of the relationship, but the expectation that freedom would be enough to fill the void. It wasn't. It is better to build than to destroy. And when something valuable is abandoned in the name of an abstract promise of happiness, regret doesn't take long to arrive.